and I have my video up and going. So let's go ahead and get started. Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Um, we only have three of us here today. I'm sure Frida will be joining us shortly if she can. But let's go ahead and get started. Halima, I want you to go ahead and start with your peer review feedback.
Okay, so my first one was to Christy. Um, Christy, your task content is aligned with the course content. The author did a great job of staying on topic and supporting her decision facts with the facts from the action plan research. Areas of strength was the action plan research. Um, it demonstrated that the candidate rose as a leader. Um, with reference to the degree of collaboration. You show that you collaborated with the POT team with your action plan and the research that you found behind it. The area of weakness is the plan is missing some of the categories from the original template. I just remember them saying in a Zoom session that whatever the template has, you're supposed to fill in and not take anything out. I just remember that from. So I just noticed you had took out some categories.
Yeah, I compressed them.
Um, Leadership is demonstrated because the candidate research best practices and present findings in the POC and the collaboration process. The evidence is written professionally and follows the rubric. There are some grammar mistakes with some spacing. And evidence narrative is mostly structured in a professional manner. Headings and subheadings are clearly presented. Evidence is easy to locate. The structure of the narrative follows the guidelines of the template that was provided. The format also follows the APA format and a few mistakes in the citation.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
you.
And then,
I do believe you did a peer review feedback for myself.
yes,
Okay.
only because Frida hadn't posted hers yet. And I wasn't sure what she was going to be able to do it. And I just wanted to make sure that I had something to turn in um, for my grade. So, tomorrow, yes, your content is aligned with the course content. The author did a great job of staying on topic, and you supported your decision with the facts from the action plan research. The areas of strength was the action plan itself. I think it demonstrated that you did a lot of research and what was needed for your school, and you took the time to plug it into the action plan map. The areas of weakness, the prompt 2 was not addressed. I'm not sure if did you repost another.
I started on prompt two, but I didn't quite get to it. I
Oh,
didn't quite.
okay. So leadership was demonstrated with your action plan process. The evidence was written professionally and follows the rubric. There were some grammar mistakes such as spacing and verbal agreement. I think it was just one place where I think you used are, and I think you might have should have used is. In the spacing, you had your one of your topics was on the bottom of the sheet, and the rest of the paragraph was like on the next sheet. So you just kind of like tabbed it down to go with the paragraph. That was a spacing issue I noticed. I'm trying to be more specific with those grammar mistakes. The evidence narrative is mostly structured in a professional manner. Headings and subheadings are clearly presented, and evidence is easy to locate. The structure of the narrative follows the guidelines of the template that was provided. Headings and subheadings are clearly presented, and evidence is easy to locate. The format follows APA format, and the author cited evidence correctly.
All right. I definitely got to be working on prompt two today. Thank you, Halima.
You're welcome.
Christy, would you like to provide your feedback?
Sure. Okay. For Halima, I have that um, for the content, the candidate demonstrates knowledge of the steps in developing an action plan, and the task skills are aligned with course content. For the rubric strength, one strength is the strategies for sustained growth that the candidate details was a strength. These show the candidates developing and demonstrating the knowledge and understanding related to systematic investigation of needs and solutions. For a weakness, I really wasn't sure about this, Halima, because I know that your school is different from ours. And so I put a possible weakness could be the development of the action plan with multiple focuses. And I just really didn't know. I didn't know like how that was viewed, or if you had had a conversation with the professors about that, because I know that you discussed multiple needs for the academy, but none of them are narrowly focused on. So I had just consider the possibility of identifying the most pressing need and narrow the focus of the plan. And I put in parentheses, this may not be needed, I'm not sure. But I know that when I was reading it, I felt kind of confused when I was going through for the plan, because there was just so much and I wasn't sure exactly what was the most pressing need of all of them. I also put leadership is demonstrated in that the candidate holds a PLC, collaborates with its members to create an effective action plan. The narrative is written professionally with little errors and conventions. But I always think, it serves us well to go back and review and have another adult read and edit it before we do our final post. The evidence narrative is structured in a logical, organized, and professional way. And again, the candidate should edit the text to be sure that all the fonts and letter size is the same. And there was just a couple of places I noticed within the text where it looked like the font was changing a little bit. All citation tables and graphs and works cited are cited properly. So that's what I had for that.
Thank you. Yes, so the response to your most pressing need, yes, there's really, I could not focus just on one because there was so many needs, and behavior, if we don't have behavior in place, then nothing's going to get accomplished. So that's why behavior is one.
Yeah.
And math and science, they kind of go along together. So that's why I kind of feel like I could use both of them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, but yes, no, I couldn't just focus on one. It wouldn't really made a big difference,
Yeah.
especially if I didn't have the behavior in the place.
Yeah, I understand. And that's why I said, I'm not even sure if that's like even something relevant, but I just wanted to double
No,
check.
but made a good point, because as I'm reading through everybody else's, I'm seeing that they don't have so many focuses. But I didn't, I'm not sure what the background of their school is. Do they need it like mine do? So yeah.
Most definitely, yeah, I agree with you. Tomorrow for you, I had for content, the candidate is emerging and demonstrating knowledge of the steps needed to develop an action plan. Further detail is needed in the action plan itself and the step-by-step analysis. For the rubric strength, I put a strength the candidate demonstrated was in creating short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals and objectives. And the narrative, the candidate explains each goal as well as the persons responsible to carry out specific details. I thought you did a really good job with having each of those goals listed. A weakness in the narrative was the incomplete details in the action plan chart. And we talked about that earlier, and I know that you are still doing some work on that. And I just put the candidate can go through the narrative and add the specific goals and the details related to each of onto the action plan. And another area of weakness is that prompt 2 is incomplete, and we talked about that too. The candidate demonstrated leadership in developing the PLC, leading them in the discussion of best practices and creating an action plan designed to meet the most pressing need. For mechanics and grammar, the evidence narrative is written professionally with minor errors and conventions. The section for prompt 2 response is left blank. So the evidence narrative is logical, organized, and professional. And I put that some materials, figures may need to be added to prompt 2 as well as the completion of the action plan. So I didn't know if there might be anything else as a visual that you may have wanted to add to that as well. Just something to think about. And that was it.
Okay. All right. I got news for you all. Prompt 2 is not blank. I just didn't upload it.
Oh no.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, why does everybody keep saying the prompt 2 is completely blank? I was like, it's blank, but it's not blank. But I got you. I understand. I appreciate y'all. Yes. Because I'm like, okay, what is wrong with me?
Hey, I've done the same thing. So
Uh, Now, like, now, granted, it's definitely not detailed, but it is not, it's not blank. So I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah, that's why I asked if you had resubmit another one. They had it filled in.
So,
But sometimes that happens.
okay, okay. You know what? Yes, I'm like, okay, what are they talking about? All right, now I see. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for that feedback, and I will continue to work. Because the one I posted, the chart isn't even complete. It looks like.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. And okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with Halima since she's present. I said yes. As far as your content is concerned, it is aligned with the course content, and it does use external sources appropriately. The PLC does highlight the needed intervention, and the implementation plan. I think you do an excellent job of reiterating your sources and also the teachers can use to impact their scores. I think that's wonderful. Your weaknesses. I said the candidate does not discuss how the instructional strategies and resources will be integrated school-wide to assist third grade teachers, particularly because the school did not meet growth in that area. I know your focus is on math and science, and trust me, it's not lost on me that you work at a school with many needs. That is not lost on me. I was just wondering how this will look as you formulate it. And then, of course, leadership. The narrative demonstrates leadership. It includes a detailed APSO graphic organizer detailing the timeline and additional steps. You do an excellent job of including further, of doing that. I said you should include further artifacts or timelines to demonstrate leadership. And I also said, how will you all know that Class Dojo will be monitored to ensure fidelity? I like Class Dojo, but what I noticed is some of the teachers slack off with it. And then, of course, mechanics and grammar. The narrative does utilize formal language. Once run-on sentences and grammatical errors are corrected, the task will flow. For example, the PLC team realizes that the action plan holds many responsibilities. It should be responsibilities. That's just an example. I also said the author should also use only one font style throughout the narrative, and APA suggests Times New Roman. Organization. The evidence narrative closely follows the template structure, and the evidence present is easy to locate. The candidate does an excellent job of describing resources. And then, of course, APA formatting. APA formatting is used with only minor errors, particularly in citing figures and tables. So I think you did a great job, especially describing what kind of position your school was in.
Okay, thank you for your feedback. I'll work on that. Well, we just have to turn it in a task. Have you guys turned anything in a task yet?
I have not turned anything into task streams, so you are in good company there.
Okay.
It seems like I didn't even turn in what was appropriate for the day, but I go through so many versions. I need to do better at that. Okay.
Okay.
And then of course my next one is for Frida. I know she's not present, but I still wanted to provide her with some feedback. Um, her course content is aligned with the information and follows the prompts accordingly. The candidate is still formulating her PLC dialogue. The rubric strength, of course, is that the candidate does a good job of presenting which assessments are used to track student learning and reading. They use CORE and the SADQ. The candidate also includes detailed information on action plans and their purpose. The rubric weakness, the candidate does not include a chart or graphic organizer to adequately address the action plan. Leadership. The narrative does not demonstrate leadership. It does not include an action plan or addresses any of prompt two. The candidate should include further artifacts or timelines to demonstrate evidence. Mechanics and grammar, I thought it does utilize formal language. And once the grammatical errors are sorted out, it will have improved clarity. It will read better. Organization, the evidence narrative closely follows the template structure and the evidence is easy to locate. And APA is used with minor errors. So, yes. So
And
that is feedback I have for Frida. This week she only has one peer review simply because she just posted her draft about 5 hours ago.
but
So
I would still give her one. I would still do one. I just won't be noted on here, but I would also give her a peer review and attach it to her um discussion board.
okay, excellent. And so, it's always great to hear you guys' feedback. I'm so glad you all kept talking about prompt too, because I was like, what is going on? Um, but my apologies to you all because it is homecoming week at my school, and I have been inundated. But now that that's over, woohoo! I'll be back on track.
Um,
Do you want to go ahead and start recording, Christy?
yes, ma'am. I'm going to go ahead and stop and get it processed.